Hare Krishna. Let us understand Bhagavad Gita chapter by chapter, section by section. To begin with, let us offer our prayers to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and to the Supreme Lord. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we shall be understanding the third section of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. Those who have not seen the previous sections, I request you to go through those sections. Chapter 1 has 3 sections, chapter 2 has 5 sections. So in this session, we will be understanding the third section of the Bhagavad Gita. Third section of the Bhagavad Gita is from shloka number 31 to 38. So this section is entitled Perform Prescribed Duty of Fighting. So in this section, Lord Krishna will be encouraging Arjuna to perform his prescribed duty as a Kshatriya. So let us understand this particular section. Lord Krishna says, Swadharmam api chavekshya navikampitum arhasi dharmyadhiyuddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, out of the 4 orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Kshat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate means to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. This system is being followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyasa or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated, Ahaveshu mitonyonyam jigham santo mahikshitaha yuddhamanaha param shaktya swargam yanti aparanmukhaha yajneshu pashavo brahman hanyante satatam dvijay Sanskritaha kila mantraischa tepi swargam avapnuvan. Translation: in the battlefield, a king or kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving heavenly planets after death. As the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battle on the religious principle and the killing of animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrificed gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another. And the Kshatriyas killed in the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. There are two kinds of swadharma, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of that particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. Swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnashrama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama Dharma, or specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with Varnashrama Dharma serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So in this particular shloka, Lord Krishna is telling, Swadharmam api chavekshya navikampitum arhasi dharnyadhi uddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Considering your specific duty as a kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. So Arjuna, he wanted to go away because he felt that by killing his own friends and relatives, he could not enjoy his life. It was based on his own personal enjoyment. And also he felt that if I kill them and even win the battle, in the future I will go to hell and suffer. So that was also based on Arjuna's personal enjoyment. So Krishna is telling that it is your duty to fight on religious principles, and even if you lose, you will be elevated to heavenly planets. So it's better for you to perform your prescribed duty of fighting as a Kshatriya, and it is your duty to protect religion. And when the enemies, they are irreligious, it is your duty to defeat them and take the kingdom and rule the kingdom and establish Varnashrama in the society. So in that way, Lord Krishna is trying to encourage Arjuna that he has to perform his duty. Then further Krishna says, Yatrichaya chopapannam svargadvaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labhante yuddhami drisham. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So Krishna is telling such opportunities are rare and you have to take advantage of such opportunities. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is telling, as supreme teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemns the attitude of Arjuna, who said, I do not find any good in this fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell. Such statements by Arjuna were due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in discharge of his specific duty. For a Kshatriya to be in the battlefield and to become non-violent, is the philosophy of fools. In the Parashara Smriti or religious codes made by Parashara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, Kshatriyo hi prajarakshan shastrapani pradandayan nirjitya parasainyadi kshitim dharmena palayet. That means the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus with religious principles he should rule over the world. So considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom, and if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. So fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So further Lord Krishna says, Ata chetvam mimam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. If, however, you do not fight this religious war, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, Arjuna was a famous fighter and he had attained fame by fighting many great demigods, including even Lord Shiva. After fighting and defeating Lord Shiva in the dress of a hunter, Arjuna pleased the Lord and received as a reward a weapon called Pashupatastra. Everyone knew that he was a great warrior. Even Dronacharya gave him benediction and awarded him the special weapon by which he could kill even his teacher. So he was credited with so many military certificates from many authorities, including his adopted father Indra, the heavenly king. But if he abandoned the battle, he would not only neglect his specific duty as a Kshatriya, but he would lose all his fame and good name and thus prepare his royal road to hell. In other words, he would go to hell not by fighting but by withdrawing from battle. Here clearly Krishna is telling, Atha chefam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tataha swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. So, if you do not fight this religious war, then you will certainly incur sins. Papam avapsyasi, for neglecting your duties. Swadharmam hitva, papam avapsyasi, and also kirtim cha, you will also lose your reputation as a great fighter. So that is not good. Further Krishna says, Akirtim chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya cha kirtir maranadatirichyate. People will always speak of your infamy, and for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So Krishna says that it's better for you to die in this battlefield, fighting for the right cause, religious war, than being a so-called good man and non-violent. It's better you fight, and if you win, you enjoy the kingdom. If you lose, you will go to heavenly planets. I would consider that better. So Prabhupada writes, both as friend and philosopher to Arjuna, Lord Krishna now gives his final judgment regarding Arjuna's refusal to fight. The Lord says, Arjuna, if you leave the battlefield, people will call you a coward even before your actual flight. And if you think that people may call you bad names, but that you will save your life by fleeing the battlefield, then my advice is that you would do better to die in the battle. For a respectable man like you, ill fame is worse than death. So, you should not flee for fear of your life, better to die in the battle. That will save you from the ill fame of misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in society. So the final judgment of the Lord was for Arjuna to die in the battle and not withdraw. So Krishna was so dissatisfied by Arjuna's decision that he is telling that you better die in this battle. That would be more satisfying me than you becoming so-called non-violent and fleeing the battlefield. This is not at all good. Krishna was very, very unhappy by Arjuna's decision, and Krishna is telling you perform your duty as a Kshatriya, and if you even don't win, if you even die, I will be satisfied with it, than hearing your criticism. You are such a great warrior and people will start criticizing you. I cannot tolerate such criticism. Better you die here. That is more pleasing to me than seeing your criticism and misusing my association as my friend. So better, Arjuna, you perform your prescribed duty of fighting. So Krishna is telling, Bhayadranadu paratam mamsyante tvam maharatha yesham chatvam bahumato bhutva yasyasi laghavam. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you a coward. And then avachya vadam shabahon vadishyanti tavahita nindantastava samarthyam tato dukkhataram nukim. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchayah. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore get up and fight with determination. Sukhe dukhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So clearly Lord Krishna is telling that if you fight, you will get that earthly kingdom and you can rule over and you can enjoy. If you die in the battle, then you will go to heaven and enjoy. In both cases, fighting is good for you. If you don't fight and go away, flee the battlefield, then your enemies will scorn you. They'll criticize you as a coward. So it's better that you fight. And then Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, and Lord Krishna now directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or gain, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness, so there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reaction, good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obliged to anyone, nor is he a debtor to anyone, as one is in the ordinary course of his activities. It is said, Devarshi bhutap tanrinam pitrinam na kinkaro nayam rinicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 41. Anyone who has completely surrendered unto Krishna, Mukunda, giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor, nor is he obliged to anyone, not the demigods, nor the sages, nor the people in general, nor kinsmen, nor humanity, nor forefathers. That is the indirect hint given by Krishna to Arjuna in this verse, and the matter will be more clearly explained in the following verses. So clearly Krishna is telling that performing your duty for the sake of religion, for religion means to please Krishna, that is called religion. So Krishna is directly telling that you should fight. So Arjuna's duty was to just please Krishna because it was Krishna's desire. By performing activities for pleasure of Krishna, one will not incur any sin. one will become a great devotee and Krishna will bless such a devotee. So Arjuna was supposed to please Krishna rather than think of his own personal sense enjoyment and run away. So that is the conclusion here given by Krishna, and Krishna is encouraging Arjuna that you perform your prescribed duty. So here this section ends. Next, what Krishna tells to Arjuna, we shall see that in the next section. Hare Krishna.